Well, I think for Melian, one of the important things about Chinese modernization is to understand that it has a much longer history as a term. As a historian
Mhm.
myself, I think back to the Qing dynasty and the Republican period, the May 4th movement, a whole variety of periods in earlier Chinese history over the last 100 years or more, where modernization has been at the heart of the agenda. So in that sense, modernization is about becoming new, but it's not a new term at all. So, in some ways, I think that there has been a continuity in terms of the way that the term is used both 100 years ago and today. A lot of that is about the desire of China to achieve a kind of stable presence within its own borders, to achieve status in international society and maintain a kind of stable and prominent position in the global order, and also to reorder society domestically within China, creating a strong economy, trying to create a social contract with the citizens that will in some ways be balanced. So in all those sorts of terms, I think modernization is a way of trying to explain how China seeks both to get a stable place in the global order and to create a new sort of social contract at home. I think one of the ways in which modernization today in China is different from other societies is that it's been on the basis of a particular sort of economic model. Well, I think we have to go back to the era of the 1980s and 90s when Deng Xiaoping basically was one of the key figures who essentially turned China into one of the world's largest export economies. And I think if we're going to look at one of the things that shaped the contemporary era of Chinese modernization, then I think that export-oriented growth, the term made in China, which became very, very well known during that period, has to be one really important factor to understand that change over time. Now, that I think enabled one of the other major changes that we see in recent years as part of Chinese modernization to occur. And that was China's growing innovation in technology. But China, of course, really does stand very, very strong in terms of the way in which modernization through technology is moving forward. Now, why is that? Well, I would point you back to what I said earlier about that export-oriented growth. When China was able to build up its economy, it could also build up resources and GDP for reinvestment. And year by year, we see that China spends something like 2.4% of its GDP, both in the public and the private sector, on research and development. Now, that, when you ask me about what is Chinese modernization and what are the causes, looking at that question of doing research and reinvesting from GDP into further development, that is what creates the higher value added type economy that means that modernization gets renewed. So I would look at that period of nearly half a century, starting with Deng Xiaoping's economic policies and seeing how they connect to the technological innovation that we see in China today. That is a very important part of the trajectory of Chinese modernization.